Frankie Gavin is apparently pulled out of his IBF title eliminator against Tim Bradley because it seems as though he's actually going to get the Kell Brook fight. That's right, he's going to be able to circumvent the elimination process and get a straight crack at Kell Brook's IBF title. Now, Eddie Hearn has come out and said that it isn't definite for May 30th, but it's likely that he will fight Frankie Gavin, Kell Brook that is, that he will fight Frankie Gavin in his next couple fights. And obviously the hardcore boxing fans are going to be very upset, right? Most of us don't want to see Brook versus Gavin. I've seen a lot of hardcore fans saying, how the hell can Eddie Hearn criticize Amir Khan for fighting Chris Algieri when Kell Brook's going to go and fight Frankie Gavin or even Brandon Rios? You know, because that's another opponent that Eddie Hearn's talking about. Now, me personally, I think that Brandon Rios stylistically has the potential to give Kell Brook problems. I don't think Brandon Rios is a worthy opponent based on rankings and stuff like that, but I do think he can give Kell Brook problems stylistically. But that's another fight for another video. As far as Frankie Gavin, I knew as soon as Eddie Hearn signed Frankie Gavin that he was going to try and line this guy up to fight Kell Brook. I already knew that. And Kell Brook has said that he's willing to fight Frankie Gavin. He said it in an IFL TV interview recently. And Eddie Hearn's been talking about this Gavin Brook fight in quite a few interviews, but he seemed apprehensive about it. All right? And I know why he was apprehensive about it. And if you see the screenshot on screen right now, that's from Eddie Hearn's latest IFL TV interview where he talks about the Brook Gavin fight potentially being on May 30th. And he explains why he's apprehensive about having it on that date. And what Eddie Hearn basically says is that he was planning to build Frankie Gavin up before putting him in with Kell Brook. And he was actually planning to put him in with Brook probably at the end of this year or early next year. Now, what does that mean, build him up? It means that he was looking to make the fight with Kell Brook a pay-per-view. That's right, he was looking to build up Frankie Gavin's fan base, build up some hype around the fight, make it some big domestic rivalry, and make it pay-per-view. And I said this previously to people, and some people said, nah, that's too cynical, Hatman. Even Eddie Hearn wouldn't stoop that low. The same Eddie Hearn that gave us David Haye versus Audley Harrison pay-per-view, the same Eddie Hearn that gave us Nathan Cleverly versus Tony Bellew, the rematch pay-per-view, in their opinion, that guy wouldn't stoop as low as giving us Kell Brook versus Frankie Gavin. Well, Kell Brook's a world champion, unlike Cleverly or Bellew, and Frankie Gavin's in the top 5 of the IBF. So don't for a second think that he wouldn't try and sell that as a pay-per-view, because he absolutely would. And that is why he's apprehensive about having it on May 30th, because there's not enough time to build it into a pay-per-view event. And in his mind, he's thinking, I've got a domestic clash here, domestic rivalry for a world title fight. I'm going to waste a potential pay-per-view event if I have it on May 30th. So in Eddie Hearn's mind, he's thinking of trying to somehow delay it and have it later on down the line where he can actually charge you $9.99 or $14.95 or whatever pay-per-view is these days on Sky. So it's like I told you, people, go watch the interview for yourselves and you tell me what you think of Eddie Hearn's explanation about why he's apprehensive about the fight on May 30th. I'm telling you, people, he wants to make it pay-per-view. I told you this all along. Don't underestimate Fast Car, man. He's about that money. He's a numbers man. He said so himself. So as much as we don't like the fight, as much as we don't want it on pay-per-view, that is where Eddie Hearn is going with this, people. So we better hope, if this fight's got to happen, if it has to happen, if Eddie Hearn's going to insist that it happens, then you better hope that it happens on May 30th, because then at least it's going to be free. Because if it happens after that, he's going to charge people. Let me know what you think, people. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.